Everyone in the cafe turned to look when Daniel whispered the cruel words. "I'm sorry, you're just not what I expected." Aisha felt her smile crack, her heart sinking beneath the glowing Christmas lights. She stood to leave, wishing the earth would swallow her embarrassment. But before she could step outside into the cold December night, two tiny voices tugged at her sleeve. "Miss, will you be our mom?" Aisha froze. Daniel froze. The entire cafe froze. And in that one impossible moment, her life flipped forever. What happened next was something no Christmas story could have prepared her for. Aisha had always loved Christmas, the lights, the music, the warmth that covered the world like a soft blanket. But this year, the season felt colder than the snow outside. Being 30, single, and constantly reminded of it by well-meaning relatives made her dread the holidays. Her best friend, Zara, insisted she try a Christmas blind date. "What do you have to lose?" she said. Aisha didn't want to admit she was tired of trying, tired of being judged before people even knew her. Still, she agreed. She dressed in a soft red sweater, natural makeup, and a small pendant her mother had given her. "You're beautiful," she told herself in the mirror, trying to ignore the quiet doubt in her chest. The cafe was warm and smelled of cinnamon. People laughed, couples held hands, children played with candy canes. Aisha sat at a corner table, waiting, rehearsing lines in her head. When Daniel walked in, tall and put together, she stood and smiled instinctively. He looked surprised, almost disappointed, before masking it with politeness. They talked for a few minutes, though Aisha could sense the distance. He kept glancing at the door, at his phone, anywhere but at her face. She tried to stay positive, telling herself maybe he was nervous. Then he leaned in, lowering his voice. "I'm sorry, Aisha. I don't think this will work. You're not what I expected." The words hit her harder than she wanted to show. She nodded slowly, swallowing the burn in her throat. She excused herself before the tears could form. As she walked toward the exit, the entire joyful cafe blurred. She hated that this moment, this rejection, was happening on Christmas Eve, of all days. It felt like the universe was mocking her. She was one step from the door when she felt a tiny tug at her sleeve. Two little girls, no older than 6 or 7, stood there. Identical twins, one with a candy cane in her hand, the other holding a small teddy bear missing an eye. The girl with the teddy bear looked up at her with trembling hope. "Miss," she whispered, "will you be our mom?" Aisha blinked, stunned. The world around her went silent. Behind the twins, she noticed a man, Daniel, standing frozen, shock written on his face. Her breath caught. What was happening? Whose children were these? Why were they asking her? Before she could speak, the second twin stepped forward, her voice quivering. "Please, we chose you." The entire cafe stared. Aisha felt her knees weaken. Nothing in her life had prepared her for this moment. And nothing would ever be the same again. Aisha knelt slowly so she was eye level with the twins. Their big brown eyes shimmered with a mix of fear and expectation. She looked toward Daniel, confused, but he seemed equally lost. "Sweethearts," Aisha said gently, I'm not sure what you mean." The girl with the teddy bear clutched it tighter. "We've been waiting," she murmured. "Daddy said maybe today is the day we find someone who smiles like our mom used to." Aisha's heart clenched. "Daddy." She turned slowly toward Daniel. His face had turned pale, his arrogance wiped clean, replaced by something raw, something human. "They're my daughters," he admitted quietly. "Their mom passed away 2 years ago. I didn't want to tell you. I thought it would scare you off." Aisha felt the weight of their pain hit her like a wave. The second twin stepped closer. "You smiled at us when you came in," she said. "Like Mommy. Daddy doesn't smile much anymore." The cafe lights reflected in their little eyes, making them shimmer like fragile ornaments. Aisha felt a lump catch in her throat. Daniel knelt beside his daughters, his voice husky. "Girls, we can't just ask people that. It's not how it works." "But you said Christmas brings miracles," one twin said. And she looked like one. Aisha felt tears slip down her cheeks, not from sadness, but from something warm, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Daniel finally looked at her, really looked, without judgment. "I'm sorry for what I said," he murmured. "The truth is, I'm scared. Scared to fail, scared to mess things up again, scared that no one would want a man with 2 kids who still misses his wife. Aisha shook her head. You didn't fail, she said softly. You're raising 2 brave little girls. That's not failure. There was a long, tender silence. The twins wrapped their arms around each other, waiting, hoping. Aisha knelt fully in front of them and opened her arms slightly. They launched forward, hugging her tightly, as if they had been waiting for this moment forever. The warmth of their tiny hands, their innocent trust, melted something deep inside her. Daniel watched, stunned. His daughters, who rarely hugged anyone, were clinging to Aisha like she was a missing piece of their world. He swallowed hard. Aisha, would you join us for Christmas dinner? For them, he added quickly, but his voice revealed it was for him too. Aisha looked at the twins, then at Daniel, then at the glowing lights outside the cafe windows. Christmas wasn't mocking her. It was rewriting her story. She nodded with a soft smile. I'd love to. The twins jumped with joy, grabbing her hands tightly as if they would never let her go. And just like that, the Christmas Eve she thought would break her became the night that began everything. The night she learned that sometimes rejection isn't the end of the story. It's the doorway to a miracle waiting just a few steps away.